What will be the turns out cigarettes are bad for us of our generation. This will get super buried. Children's play is being increasingly cut out of schools and early years programming in an attempt to cram in more academic content. Thing is, young children learn more from play, including academic skills, than from classroom settings and flashcards. We are going to see much higher levels of developmental delays and mental health issues over the next few decades, unless something changes soon. I can tell you, as a teacher, it's already happening. Behavior issues are crazy, and the playground is where a lot of the issues happen. The kids literally don't know how to play with each other. It's astounding. We had a training the other on incorporating kinesthetic experiences into our lessons. The presenters were explaining that kids' peripheral vision is only about 60% what a typical adult is, because they spend so much time on screens. There are ways to help develop it more, but it was depressing to hear. Living an easy life. Seriously, it's becoming evident that our lifestyle with little meaning or struggle has caused our depression. It used to be, if you toiled in the field with blood, sweat and tears all day, you put food on the table at the end, you felt successful and happy. Now you just go to a boring job for 8 hours and you can put food on the table and you feel no gratification in having that food, so you have to dream bigger. Now you're not successful unless you have a big house, 5 cars, a successful Instagram or YouTube channel, whatever you decide you want. But the problem is it's all a hell of a lot harder and rarer than just being able to work in the field, come home and have a nice meal for the family, so a lot less people will ever have that happiness. Truthfully, I wouldn't be surprised if it's pre-workout powder/drinks. Like 7 to 10 years ago when the original Jack 3rd came out, I think it's very possible that stuff cold messed my body up more than I suspect. Pre-workouts were basically amphetamines and other who knows junk. Fun fact. I have a buddy who is 26 who was really into that stuff in our teen years. He now has prostate cancer. At 26. That's not a thing. Working 50 to 60 hour weeks and stress is actually bad for you. It's only getting worse for poor people. Cost of living goes up. Real wages keep falling. Single parents working multiple jobs just to make rent. Life is hard and winter is coming. Not enough sleep. Former sleep researcher here. This is definitely the answer. We already know the numerous public health implications, not only in lower grades for students, but also more medical errors, more traffic accidents, the cause of many plane crashes, etc. Yet it's still seen as a sign of weakness if you want to sleep a normal amount. Not to mention lack of sleep messes with your hormones and can be a factor in obesity, depression, breast cancer, and more. Edit. Since a bunch of you are asking, the recommended of hours of sleep for most adults is 7 to 9. Turns out shielding everyone from risk creates a lower risk acceptance threshold. Yes, absolutely. As an example, the most shielded kids usually go wild whenever they get an ounce of freedom. Most fundamentalist parents don't realize this. Kids that are too shielded from the world can't really function within it. Tanning. People generally have accepted that excessive UV exposure is bad for you, but I haven't seen this translate into behavioral changes for society as a whole. It has changed. People in the 80s pretty much spent their weekends tanning outside. These days not so much. Greek guy living in an island here. I probably watched tens of thousands of people tanning without sunscreen, like there's no lucking tomorrow in our beaches this summer so far. Northern Europeans, Germany, Scandinavia, UK mostly, apparently don't give a luck about sunscreen and have no idea what the sun does to you except burn you. Pasty Scandinavian here. I don't think you're wrong. People here suntan and tan in beds like crazy. People I know have told me I should just skip the sunscreen because I'm so pale and need to tan. It's ridiculous. Sitting for 8+ hours a day. My lab used to have a daily notification that told us to stand up and stretch. Sitting is the new smoking. Butt cancer. The irony of course being that smoke breaks used to be the only excuse to stop sitting at work and take a break. Hearing loss from earbuds. Yay. In about 20 years, holding stock in hearing aid companies might result in massive financial gains. People who put lemons in a water bottle to detox and end up with acid constantly on their teeth for 8 hours a day. Plastics, at least for foodstuffs, that is packaging, containers, plates, etc. We keep finding out that certain kinds of things in plastic are harmful to us. The answer so far has been to avoid those particular things, but then we just find the next thing that's bad for us. We know that most plastic leaches chemicals when heated up, yet most people still throw it in the dishwasher. You should check out all the seemingly harmless dollar store items that are loaded with harmful toxins. I believe Vice put the article out. Really disheartening to learn how little health regulations are in place and all the bum-backwards loopholes that companies use to keep these products on shelves. Especially items that are marketed towards children. If you can't find the article, you should find results in Google if you search for toxicity of dollar store bendy straws. Putting your entire life online and having it all stored forever. There's going to be an embarrassing digital paper trail for the next generation of MPs, senators, and diplomats. I'd like to think that we'll get to the stage as a species where it won't matter that you made a comment on Twitter about wanting to eat your girlfriend's bum like a snack cake when you were 19, or because you once sent a photo of your breasts to a partner, but somehow I doubt it. That poop's going to end at least a couple of political careers before they even begin. Sugar. I recently started a meal plan that cuts out as much unnecessary sugar as possible. It's insane how addictive it is. I've given up cigarettes before, and that was a cakewalk to giving up cookies and biscuits. Smartphones. It lucks with your spine massively, and people injure themselves because they weren't paying attention to their surroundings. I'm more concerned that I've given myself brain damage from the number of times I've been reading while lying down and dropped it on my face. This is my time to go to bed alarm. The serious and correct answer? Full contact American football. I love football, but I think people looking back in 100 years will think we are savages. It's a brutal sport that is proven to permanently destroy athletes' brains and body functions. And yet I cheer them on each week. Turns out, being fat really is bad for your health. In all seriousness, I think we are playing a game right now as a society where we pretend this is fine. Yes, everyone knows deep down that it isn't, but we are spending decades of our life very overweight or obese anyway, and getting really sensitive about it too, which is another problem. In about 30 years we're going to look back and realize we definitely didn't take being fat seriously enough. Car exhaust fumes. You go to some cities now, and the air quality is so bad. You can smell it, you can taste it, it's killing people. Once we switch over to electric cars, I think we'll look back on this era with the same disdain as smoking in restaurants and cinemas. Diesel, especially if I get behind a semi-truck with my windows down, I feel like I'm gonna puke.